Maple Root Diner had that air of a place that holds memories. Yellowish lamps, red vinyl stools, already a bit marked by time. The jukebox in the corner playing an old song that seemed to belong to another era. Emily was behind the counter, checking the stack of cups while the afternoon sun streamed through the east window and drew golden streaks on the tables. It was a ritual that calmed her, counting cups, adjusting napkins, wiping a corner of the stainless steel. Small certainties that sustained the rest of the day. That's when the door moved with a timid sound, not the usual creaking of truckers rushing in, nor the confident knock of the regulars. It was a short, almost timid breath, as if not wanting to disturb. Emily looked up. Behind the glass, on the threshold, was a small figure, a thin girl, wearing a blue dress that showed signs of wear on the edges, light brown hair loose, and with the air of someone who had woken from a difficult dream. In her arms, she clutched something small and rectangular, wrapped in a slightly faded cloth. There was something in her eyes that made Emily stop completely, a mixture of disorientation and hope, as if she was searching for a reference point to anchor herself in that world. There was no panic, nor any hint of drama. There was only a sincere, raw confusion. "Hi, dear," Emily said, her voice low and warm. "Are you okay?" The girl hesitated. She blinked slowly, gauging who was speaking to her. When she answered, her voice was thin, almost lost. "I don't know." The simple answer was a silent blow to Emily's chest. Children who don't know if they're okay are rarely just lost children in the geographical sense. Often something deeper was displaced. Emily changed the cloth in her hands, put down the cups, and walked slowly toward the entrance. She didn't run. She didn't hurry. She made a point of not scaring anyone. "Want to come in? There's a warm place here," she offered. "You can sit with me if you want." The girl hesitated, then entered with small steps. The sound of her shoes on the waxed floor seemed fragile. She climbed onto the bench near the window and sat down as if testing the firmness of the world. Emily observed the object the girl was holding. It was a music box made of dark wood with gently rounded corners, a small worn design on the lid. There were marks that only time creates, fine scratches, areas polished by the touch of repeated fingers. The box seemed old, carrying a story with it. "Do you want water, hot chocolate?" Emily asked, already picking up a glass. "Water," replied the girl. "Please." As she filled the glass, Emily noticed that the child's hands were trembling slightly. Trembling from cold, from fear, from tiredness, perhaps a little of each. She carefully returned the glass. "What's your name?" Emily asked, sitting down beside her without intruding on her space. The girl looked at her fingers, then at the box, paused and murmured, "Lily, Lily," repeated Emily, as if remembering the name. "Nice to meet you, I'm Emily. Did you come alone?" Lily nodded. "I think so." The answer was so uncertain that Emily barely noticed. She was too young to carry so much uncertainty. She tried another question, simpler, trying to establish a safe line. "Do you remember where you came from? A house? A street?" Lily's eyes drifted away. "I remember hands, warm hands, a singing voice." She closed her eyes for a moment, as if trying to pull a memory from within something heavy. "But when I try to see the face, it gets blurry." Emily felt a knot in her stomach. That description wasn't just confusion about location. There were fragments of memory, sensations, smells, a melody that affirmed there had been a before, something that had been interrupted. "It's okay," Emily said sincerely. "You're here now, and you can stay calm. We'll figure out the rest in due time." Lily pulled the box and hugged it tighter. "It plays by itself," she murmured, in a tone that mixed fear and reverence. "When I get scared, it plays." Emily raised an eyebrow. "Plays by itself?" The girl nodded. "Yes. Sometimes when there's no one around. Sometimes when I miss someone." Emily's heart skipped a beat. Stories of objects that reveal things were common in tales. But there, that conversation had no glamour. It had urgency and comfort. Emily didn't need to believe in magic. She just needed to realize that that box was a point of reference for Lily, a link, an object of security. "Do you know if someone is looking for you?" Emily asked carefully. Lily bit her lip. "I don't know. I just know that someone told me to bring this to you, that you would know what to do." She spoke the last sentence, as if repeating something she heard from someone who seemed to be in a hurry. The word "you" felt like a tool that needed fitting. Emily didn't understand why someone would tell her to deliver the box specifically to her, but there was no time to philosophize. First came the care, then she would answer the rest. "Okay," Emily replied slowly. "You're safe here. I'll call the sheriff just to register what happened and see if anyone is looking for you. But now, do you want me to bring you something warm? A cake, a pancake?" Lily sighed, a mixture of relief and tiredness. "Pancake," she said finally, "with syrup." Emily smiled and went to the kitchen with the kind of calm haste that only those who work there know. While mixing the batter and tending the stove, she thought of the warm hands Lily remembered. She thought of the melody that insisted on playing in the girl's head. She thought of a life that had been interrupted and now, for some reason, was anchored in that little box. When she brought the pancake, Lily ate slowly, glancing at the box from time to time. Emily remained there beside her, not as one who interrogates, but as one who protects. Outside, on the road, the sun was beginning to set. Inside the diner, for the moment, there was a small, carefully prepared universe, ready to listen. And there, in that tense calm, Emily had a simple certainty. That little box wasn't just wood and sound, it was a door. And it, for some reason she didn't yet understand, had been placed in front of her so that she could open that door. Emily watched Lily finish her pancake and noticed that the girl ate as if she was still trying to believe it was real. Small pieces, chewed slowly, as if the world could disappear if she stepped out of rhythm. The music box remained there, in her lap, protected by her thin arms as if it were a treasure. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was a silence that demanded space to breathe, to let go of fear, to stitch together some security in the midst of the void. Emily sat in the chair in front of her, in a way that didn't seem to be watching but accompanying. "Lily," she began in a low voice, "do you remember the music this box plays?" The girl looked up for a second. Her eyes had that strange gleam of someone who recognizes something they can't name. "I remember the melody," she replied. "Not all of it, just a little bit, a part that stuck in my head." She tapped her fingers on the box, as if trying to awaken the memory. "But when I open it, it doesn't play. It only plays when I get scared." Emily kept a neutral expression, but her heart gave another one of those knots. Children are masters at speaking truths with disconcerting naturalness. Maybe it was just childish imagination. Maybe it was trauma. Maybe it was something else. "Do you want to try playing it now?" Emily suggested. "Sometimes when you move slowly, things come back." Lily took a deep breath. She placed the box on the table. The old wood creaked a little. The girl unlocked the soft latch and carefully lifted the lid. Silence. Nothing. Only the distant sound of the frying pan in the kitchen and the engine of a car passing outside. Lily sighed. "I told you," she murmured with a hint of frustration. "It's only when I get scared, when I'm alone." Emily leaned forward slightly to observe the little box. The inside had a small metal mechanism, worn but intact. That kind of piece doesn't move on its own. At least it shouldn't. Before she could say anything, the diner door opened. Emily turned quickly, expecting perhaps a desperate father, a neighbor, any adult who would recognize the girl. It wasn't. It was a familiar truck driver, Earl, who always came for coffee after a delivery. He waved to Emily, didn't even notice Lily, went to the counter and sat on his usual red stool. Emily gestured, "Just a minute," and turned her attention back to the girl. Lily was motionless, staring at the open box, as if expecting something to happen. "You know what I think?" Emily said, her voice soft but firm. "I think this little box means something to you, and when you remember what it means, maybe the music will come back. The music depends on you, Lily, not on fear." The girl was thoughtful for long seconds, as if trying to see through an inner fog. "The music," Lily murmured. "I remember someone singing to me before bed, a girl. She had a beautiful voice." The girl closed her eyes and in an involuntary gesture leaned to the left, as if leaning against someone invisible. She sang slowly and stroked my hair. Emily felt her throat tighten. It didn't seem like an invented memory. It was too vivid, too painful. "Do you remember her name?" Emily asked carefully. Lily opened her eyes slowly. "No, but I remember she cried sometimes. She thought I didn't see, but I did. I could hear her breathing tremble." The girl held the box even closer, and she said, Lily swallowed hard. "She said that the music would protect me if I got scared." Emily took a few seconds to answer. It was too much emotional detail, too much weight for a child to invent. "And it protects you?" Emily asked. Lily looked at the box with deep vulnerability. "I think so." And she finished in a whisper. "When I woke up alone in the middle of the night, it was her who called me." Emily frowned. "The little box?" Lily nodded. "It rang. The lid slammed shut on its own. I woke up. And then I left where I was. Emily felt her stomach clench. That meant something. It wasn't a child wandering carefree. It was someone who had left somewhere, left on their own, perhaps run away. Before Emily could continue, the diner radio emitted a short hiss. It was rare. Almost no one used the internal radio except the local sheriff when he needed to issue a widespread warning. His voice echoed, low, somewhat muffled but clear. "Attention all establishments near Route 17. We are looking for a missing child. 7 years old, light brown hair, blue dress." Emily's blood ran cold. Lily stared at her, her eyes wide with fear. "Is that me?" she asked, her voice faltering. Emily approached, instinctively enveloping the girl in a protective gesture. "Calm down. You're not alone. I'm here. Nothing will happen to you." And the radio continued. "She was last seen." Emily turned off the volume before Lily could hear any more. It wasn't the time to scare her. "Lily," Emily said, looking her straight in the eyes, "I'm going to help you, but I need you to trust me. Can you trust me?" The girl hesitated for just a second, then nodded. "I can." Emily smiled, despite the tension. "Great, because you're safe here, and nobody's going to take you away from here without me understanding everything first." The girl bit her lower lip, holding back tears. "But what if the music plays again?" Emily tucked a strand of hair behind the girl's ear. "Then we'll listen together." They stayed like that for a few seconds, until Lily, almost in a broken whisper, said, "Emily, I'm afraid to remember." Emily squeezed her little hand. "And I'm here for when you remember." The jukebox continued playing in the background, but it seemed distant. Outside, the sun was already setting. And there, inside the diner, Emily felt she was about to discover not only what Lily had run away from, but also what, or who, the song was trying to warn her about. The Maple Root Diner seemed too small for the tension that filled the air. Emily took a deep breath, trying to keep her mind clear, even with the information from the radio pulsing inside her like an alarm. Missing child, blue dress, brown hair, 7 years old, Lily. But Emily couldn't just pick up the radio and say, "The child is here." Not while the girl was trembling like that, clinging to the music box as if it were the last safe anchor left in the world. Emily knew she needed to find out what was behind this escape before involving the police. Was it risky? Very. But it was worse to hand over a vulnerable child without understanding who she was really running from. "Lily, tell me something," Emily began, keeping her tone as calm as possible. "Do you remember how you got here to the diner?" The girl nodded slowly. I remember the music, she said. I woke up and it was playing, and I heard someone calling my name, very softly. Emily swallowed hard. Someone? Who? Lily squeezed the small box tighter, as if the object were about to fall or disappear. The girl, she whispered. The same one from the song. The one who sang to me. The emotional temperature of the room seemed to drop a few degrees. Emily leaned on the table, trying to piece things together. And this girl, was she your mother? She asked carefully. Lily frowned as if trying to pull a memory from the bottom of a dark river. I think so, she said, her voice trembling. But I don't remember exactly. Only when I woke up, I was in a very cold place. Emily leaned in slightly. Do you remember this place? Lily hesitated, then slowly she nodded. It was a room, no windows. The door had a red light above it. I was in a bed, and there was... She swallowed hard, squeezing her eyes shut as if facing a flash of something painful. There was a woman there, but it wasn't the same one from the song. Emily felt a chill down her spine. What did she look like? Lily replied, almost breathless. She didn't smile, ever. The girl began to breathe faster, as if she were about to panic. Emily immediately placed a hand on the table, close to her little hand. Hey, calm down. Breathe with me. You're safe here, remember? The girl looked at Emily for a few seconds, seeking confirmation, searching for solid ground. Her breathing slowed, but was still unsteady. I think, Lily continued, that this woman wanted me to forget the other one, the one who sang to me. Emily's eyes widened. Forget? Yes, Lily replied. She said that memories hurt, that I didn't need those songs, that I should just open the box when I was scared, because then I would learn. Emily stood still. Learn what? Before she could ask, the doorbell rang again. A man entered. He was about 40 years old, wearing a thick coat with a stubble. His eyes were searching for something or someone. Emily was on alert. The man looked around, past the benches, the tables, the jukebox, until he saw Lily, and he froze. Emily noticed his eyes widen, his hand tremble as he rose into the air, as if trying to reach the girl even from a distance. Lily, he said, his voice breaking. My God, Lily! The girl turned slowly, with an expression that mixed recognition and fear, like someone who had seen that face before, but didn't know if it was a good or bad memory. Emily stood up immediately, her protective instinct kicking in. Do you know her? Emily asked firmly. The man blinked several times, too emotional to speak clearly. Of course I know her, he said. She's my daughter. Lily's eyes widened. The little box almost slipped from her hands. Dad? The man swallowed hard, tears streaming down his face uncontrollably. Lily, I've been looking for you all night. Please, come here. But the girl didn't move. Emily noticed. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Dad, Lily said softly, trembling. Where were you? The question fell on the room like an unexpected weight. The man gasped. Emily realized it immediately. The girl didn't know if she could trust him, and that said more than any story. Emily subtly, protectively placed herself between them. Sir, she said, keeping her tone neutral, before anything else I need to understand what happened. She was alone when she arrived here, scared, and with this music box. At the mention of the music box, his eyes filled with panic, not sadness, not relief, panic. That was enough to trigger Emily's internal alarm signal. Where did you get this? The man asked, his voice now too firm for someone who claimed to be emotionally fragile. Lily recoiled immediately, hugging the small box as if hugging her own life. Emily took a half-step forward, partially blocking her view. That doesn't matter, Emily said. What matters is finding out what happened to your daughter. The man took a deep breath, as if trying to regain control. She disappeared from the hospital, he said. We were there for tests. She left the room without anyone seeing, and I just want to take her back. Hospital, no windows, cold room. Door with red light. Emily felt her stomach churn. "Lily," Emily said, "is that true?" The girl squeezed her eyes shut, breathing rapidly, as if trying to extract a memory that wouldn't leave. And then, softly, trembling from head to toe, she replied, "It wasn't my father who was with me." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. The man immediately lost his composure. "Lily!" he shouted, stepping forward. "Don't say that! Come here now!" It was at that moment that Lily began to cry. An involuntary, desperate cry, like someone reliving something terrible just by hearing a voice. And that's when it happened. The music box opened by itself, and the melody began to play, slowly, softly. It's completely impossible. Emily remained kneeling before the girl, feeling her heart pounding too strongly in her chest. The faint glow of the music box illuminated the child's face like a small but persistent personal fire. The melody continued softly, circulating through the empty restaurant, filling every corner with a feeling difficult to describe, as if something old were being awakened. "And how do you feel now, Lily?" Emily asked softly, careful not to break that small bubble of calm that had finally formed. The girl ran her fingers across the surface of the box as if she were touching a fragile little animal. "I feel that I'm not lost anymore," she murmured, "but I still don't know why." Emily took a deep breath. She had a suspicion. She didn't want to say it aloud, but the intuition was there, nudging her. That little box seemed to react to Lily, not to the music, not to the environment, to her. "Can I try something?" Emily asked. The girl nodded. Emily gently placed her hand on the sweetness of those tiny fingers, and together they opened the lid again. The melody began again, but this time something different happened. Tiny points of light began to dance in the air. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't sunlight. It was real. They swirled like invisible fireflies taking shape. Lily's eyes widened. "Emily, this has never happened before." "Maybe I was waiting for you," Emily replied without thinking. The points of light began to come together, as if they were drawing something. Emily stood motionless, almost breathless, until finally the image became clear. It was the silhouette of a woman, young, with brown hair like lilies. The girl brought her hand to her mouth. "Mommy!" Her voice broke. Emily felt the ground give way for a moment. The woman's face projected by the light was soft, smiling, and seemed to sing without sound, as if someone had taken the audio from memory but left the emotion intact. "Lily, is that her?" asked Emily, almost whispering. The girl nodded quickly, tears streaming silently down her face. "She used to sing this song before I went to sleep," she said, "but I thought I'd never remember again." Emily pulled the girl closer, enveloping her in a light, unhurried hug. "Remembering doesn't hurt," said Emily. "Forgetting hurts, and you haven't forgotten. It was just stored away." The projection of light began to dissipate slowly, like bright smoke being carried away by the wind. But before disappearing completely, the silhouette made a delicate movement. It placed its hand on its chest and then pointed at Lily. The girl sobbed. "She's saying that she loves me, right?" "Yes, she is," replied Emily, her voice choked with emotion. "And she's telling you not to be afraid." Lily closed the little box slowly. The light disappeared. The restaurant was silent for a few seconds, as if even the world was respecting that moment. Then the girl looked at Emily with a new expression, a mixture of courage and longing, but that good kind of longing, the kind that embraces. "Emily, I think I know where I need to go now." "And where is that?" Lily took a deep breath. "Home." Emily smiled, a smile full of pride, but also a hint of fear, because she didn't know who was waiting for her outside, but she knew that regardless, the girl was no longer alone. "I'll take you," said Emily, standing up and extending her hand. Lily took it, and this time her touch wasn't cold. It was alive. Maple Root was already quieter when Emily locked the front door. Breakfast was over, lunch hadn't started yet, and that midday pause always brought a certain comfortable silence. But today, the silence seemed to observe. The little girl was sitting in the corner of cabin number 3, the warm light from the window hitting her face. She still held the music box as if it were a piece of who she was or who she had been. Emily placed 2 cups of hot chocolate on the table, one for herself and one for the child. "Do you like it?" Emily asked, sliding the cup towards her. The girl smelled the steam and gave a smile so small it seemed like a whisper. "I like it, I think." The way she spoke always came loaded with "I think," as if everything was being built from scratch. Emily sat down on the opposite side of the table. "I was thinking, maybe the music from the box isn't the only thing you remember. Perhaps there's some other image, some smell, some word, anything, however small." The little girl squeezed the glass between her hands, thoughtful. "I remember gardens." "Gardens?" Emily repeated. "Yes, a place full of flowers, many flowers, all different, and a woman who—" She hesitated, trying to force her memory. "Who laughed at me when I tried to sing along with the music." Emily's breath caught for a moment. That indentation on top of the little box, tiny flowers, different from each other, that wasn't just decoration. "That woman," Emily asked softly, "do you know who she is?" The girl closed her eyes, searching, painful to remember, and then, in a whisper, "My mother, I think." Emily felt a pang in her chest, not of sadness, of empathy, of understanding exactly what it was like to miss something you couldn't put into words. "Do you remember her name?" Emily asked. The little girl shook her head. "I only remember the song." Emily opened the box, and the melody filled the air again. The little girl sighed, as if that were the only safe place where she could breathe normally, until a sound came from outside. A knock on the door. Emily jumped up immediately. The girl's eyes widened. "He's back. Stay here," Emily said. "Don't move." The waitress walked to the entrance. The glass still showed the sunny, quiet street, with no sign of threat. Emily opened a small crack and looked. Contrary to what she expected, it wasn't the man in the dark coat. It was a woman, in her early 40s, red eyes as if she had cried for a long time, hair tied up haphazardly, an expression heavy with hope and fear. "Are you Emily?" the woman asked immediately. Emily became alert. "I am. How can I help you?" The woman took a deep breath, her voice faltering. "The police said a little girl, was seen coming in here. Please tell me she's in here." Emily stood motionless for a second. "What's your daughter's name?" she asked firmly. The woman began to cry. "Lily. Her name is Lily. She disappeared yesterday. I turned the whole city upside down. Nobody knew anything. Nobody had seen anything, until someone said they'd seen a man carrying a child near here." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. Lily. The little girl didn't remember her own name, but the music box, the melody, the flowers. Emily opened the door wider. "Come in. I think we need to talk." The woman almost tripped as she entered. She was so desperate. Emily guided her to the cabin where the little girl was, and when the little girl looked up, something inside her lit up. Light, recognition, memory flashing back. "Mommy," she whispered. The woman brought her hands to her face, as if her body had given up on sustaining so much despair. "Lily, my Lily," and she ran to her. The little girl fell into her mother's arms, and for the first time since entering Maple Root, she didn't seem scared, she didn't seem lost, she seemed whole. Emily took a step back. She gave her space. This wasn't about her. This was about something that finally fell into place. The mother kissed the top of her daughter's head repeatedly. "I thought I'd lost you. I thought he... My God!" Lily squeezed her mother tightly. "He tried to take my little box, but Emily saved me." The woman turned to Emily, wiping away her tears with the back of her hands. You have no idea what this means. This little box belonged to her since she was a baby. It's the only thing left of my mother. I thought I'd never see either of them again." Emily smiled shyly, touched by the scene. "She's a strong girl. She just needed someone by her side for a while. The mother took a deep breath, trying to maintain her composure. I'll never be able to thank you enough. Lily pulled her mother's hand and approached Emily. Can I come back here someday? Emily smiled. Of course you can. Maple Root will always have room for you. Lily then opened the little box of music. The music played again. The soft melody filled the restaurant. The mother smiled, moved. Emily felt that same strange sensation in her chest, but now it was light, good, warm. The music seemed to close a cycle that had begun with fear, but now ended with reunion. Let's go home, my love, the mother whispered. Lily waved to Emily before leaving. Thank you for everything. Emily replied, be happy, okay? You deserve it. The door closed behind them, and Maple Root was filled with silence again. But this time, it was the kind of silence that embraces. Emily went back behind the counter, took a deep breath, and gave a discreet smile. The good part about working in a place like this, she murmured to herself, is that every now and then you see miracles up close. And as the jukebox started another song, Maple Root regained its soul.